Hey everyone, as we approach Halloween, I thought we'd cover some of the scariest killer skins in the game. For this video, I'm going to go over the skin that I think is the scariest for each of the killers. Be sure to drop your own thoughts or picks down below. To make this a bit easier, I will just be picking out full sets and not mixing different ones up. Let's get into it. Starting off with the Trapper, we have the Marrow Miner outfit. I like this outfit a lot, as it just takes Trapper's base concept or look and amps it up. With this outfit on, he has bones all over him, more cuts and scars, and generally just a grislier look. The story behind this outfit seems to suggest that the bones that he's wearing are from all the buried Macmillan workers, which he's scavenged, which I think makes this that much creepier. For the Wraith, we have the Wetland Wrecker outfit. This outfit has a really creepy backstory too, with Wraith roaming around swamps, skinning frogs, and then seemingly making them into this outfit. The wooden mask on this outfit makes him look especially creepy too, and far more expressionless than usual, with his bright white eyes poking through. His weapon is also a good mix of metal and bone. It looks like pieces of spine and then this big sharp piece of metal. This outfit keeps Wraith's core features, but then makes them just that bit creepier. For the Hillbilly, I'm going with the Pyromania outfit. There's not many scary outfits for Hillbilly I find, but I personally think that this one is pretty good. Again, just bringing out Hillbilly's features. This skin is a burnt Hillbilly, with reddened skin and small sparks remaining. There's also cool little features like one of his eyes no longer glowing. There's loads of firework equipment he's carrying too, some of it with its fuses lit. This one is pretty grisly, and I think the closest to being scary, but hey, maybe his Halloween skin is just the better pick here. For the Nurse, I'm going with the Mother Mercy outfit. I honestly think most Nurse skins are pretty creepy, but this one I think is one of the creepier ones with the war theme to it. There's lots of grotesque features of this one, like the whittled down and charred legs, and huge chunks missing from the arm, revealing the tendons and stuff inside. There's this really cool clash of her pre-nurse self and then her nurse self, with a small tuft of hair falling out the side of her mask. It's like the nurse's two sides coming together as one, and it shows the dying humanity still within her, covered by the many evils and atrocities that she's experienced. For the Huntress, I would actually pick her Growth Surge outfit, or her Blighted skin, as her creepiest outfit. This outfit makes her look really animalistic, with tufts of hair growing across her body sporadically. Her eyes are leaking the blighted serum and popping and red. She looks like she's been through quite a few battles too, as she's covered with lots of different types of damage. Yep, I really think they nailed this one for Halloween skins. For the Shape, I think his creepiest cosmetics are quite simply his base cosmetics. His original look, in my opinion, has always been the creepiest Myers look. Although I do like stuff like the pipe or screwdriver and hospital gown, I think his original look is just the most classic and generally creepier on the whole. I just think his movie look is the best, and generally just encompasses what he's about. Simple, but kinda terrifying. I'm going to choose quite a simple one also for the Hag, which is the Wood Witch outfit. This one makes Hag look even more skeletal than usual. It really emphasizes her gouged eyes, and it's super creepy. I feel like when the skins show the killer's backstory well, they're usually quite effective. In this case, I feel you can really see the tragedy behind the character of Lisa in this cosmetic, whilst it's still remaining creepy in appearance. The Doctor is a character who I really think you could pick any outfit and I wouldn't question it. He has a naturally creepy design. However, if I were to choose one, I would go with the Wild Asylum outfit. This outfit makes him out to be this insane, unstoppable force. He's got pipes and metal piercing his body, electrodes attached directly to his brain, and these bright green piercing eyes. He's also wearing a broken open straitjacket, and holding this incredibly cruel looking weapon, all whilst electricity courses through him. As a little addition, I think it's also worth mentioning the Luxie skin. I would pick this as the creepiest if it weren't for the fact that Doctor is already such a creepy looking character. In fact, you know what, it's worth mentioning all three of the Crypt TV skins, all changing up their respective character in a new and creepy way. But yeah, I want to try and stick to the character skins more so, but worth mentioning for sure. For the Cannibal, although there are some cool cosmetics, I think his base cosmetics are the best, but with the unlockable character masks on. These masks are the original survivors' faces cut off and then put onto Bubba. This just makes them feel more real and grounded in the Dead by Daylight universe, and makes Bubba way scarier I feel as a result. Like this guy is just literally wearing the faces of the survivors. Similar with the Nightmare, I think his best look is just his base cosmetics. The only change I would maybe make is giving him a bloody bloody glove, but otherwise I think mainly his non-prestige and more classic look is better. I find him as a dream demon being covered in blood doesn't make all too much sense, as he could just like think it away. Yeah, I think I just prefer his original look and think it brings out his scariest features. For the pig, I want to say the test subject outfit. This one has a really sickly and creepy looking pig mask. It looks drained of blood and very pale and just quite grotesque. The other masks are a bit too hidden behind the hair, I find. I think this one really shows off the pig mask itself as the drawing point. There's also a cool and pretty grisly looking hidden blade that moves about and is like this constantly rev sword that's ready to go. For the clown, I also think a bit like the Doctor, most of his outfits are pretty creepy, but I personally think the Pulcinella outfit is one of the more obscure but still scary looking skins. There's something very creepy about this outfit with the old and more archaic look to it. The mask is twisted and creepy and makes the clown's creepy smile even more creepy with the nose folding down over it. I don't know, this one I just really find unnerving despite its simplicity. It tries to be more scary than it does grotesque, I feel. For the spirit, I'm going with the Marine Maiden outfit. This one I think really accentuates the creepiest part of Spirit, which is her face. The creepy twitchiness and the way it goes from a frown to a smile in an instant is incredibly scary. What this skin does is just amplify this, widening the mouth and making the eyes bulge, and also have this creepy clouded white color. There are also other creepy parts to this skin, like the fins and such that have sprouted all over her. This is meant to be water themed, but it does add another element of otherworldliness to it, which is pretty cool. The Legion mostly have cool skins and not so much scary skins. One skin that definitely is scary though is their blighted outfit, Chimeric Horde. This outfit has all 4 Legion members crammed into one body. The faces of Julie, Susie and Joey can be found twisted and contorted into the main body, with arms clawing from different angles too. This one is so disturbing. Having 4 people turn into a singular in some crazy blighted experiment is just very... ugh. For the Plague, we have the Dark Devotee. This outfit is probably one of the more horror-based outfits for the Plague, who doesn't really have many that try to be scary, but more gross. This outfit has sharper and more striking parts, with the claws and headpiece. Then there's the maggots that crawl across half of the Plague's body and face. All of them wriggle about, still alive as they feed on her flesh. Her face in many other cosmetics is also usually quite calm, but in this one I find she looks quite disturbed by her current state, understandably so. The Ghostface is another character who I would argue doesn't really have many outright horror or scary outfits. His look in general is meant to be more comical, at least Dead by Daylight's version is. It's the idea of him looking not too imposing or scary, but actually being a sadistic and relentless murderer beneath. That's the truly scary part. So my pick is the Viper Ghost outfit. I think this one with the sharper face, with teeth and generally more skeletal look to it is the closest Ghosty gets to being scary. The face itself has that evil crocodile-esque smile. I also find the red to be a nice visual shift. Moving on to the Demogorgon, I'm going for the Geo Mutation outfit. This outfit covers it in these gross and sticky looking bubbles or pustules. I think in general, Demo loses its horror elements once you see it up close, and the best parts of Stranger Things were when you could barely see it, and it was just this shape off in the distance, on a dark road. However, I still think the humanoid shape of Demo in combination with the grotesque biomatter gunk that covers it is definitely creepy still, and makes it look all the more otherworldly. It's a further misshaping of an already misshapen thing. The Oni is generally a character who I think is pretty scary looking without any cosmetics, but I personally find the more barbaric looking Oni skins make him look very relentless and kind of terrifying, so I'm going with the Ice Cold Legacy outfit. One of the coolest parts of this set is the sword, which just has this guy's face on it that the Onis cut off. Across his body he's carrying animal pelts, is covered in flesh wounds and scars, and generally looks like he's been non-stop fighting. I also like the small mask variation for this. It's a bit smaller but still keeps the core Oni features, almost like he wears something more usable or comfortable for battle. For the Deathslinger, I find many of his cosmetics all look pretty similar. I personally like the Frontier Vigilante outfit. This outfit to me feels like his most seasoned look, from all his years of bounty hunting, and this is his final form as it were. He looks experienced, deadly, and honestly just quite creepy. I also like the more human look of this one. He doesn't look as much like a zombie, instead more pale, withered, and old. The Executioner, I again find the original or base cosmetic look to be the scariest. However, for the sake of being a bit more interesting, I'll pick the Corrupted outfit. This outfit is very similar to the base look, but instead is twisted with barbed wire and has a lot more injuries and such. The pyramid itself has this cool grid texture on it, and it's a little more twisted and bent out of shape too. For the Blight, I'm going with the sophisticated Slaughter outfit. This one I think is a perfect clash of the Blight's fancy and gentlemanly look with his now distorted and blighted current look. It's like you can see the before and after slammed into one, and I really love it. One feature that is genuinely pretty scary about this outfit is the jaw, which is just straight up dropped off, probably because of the Blight, leaving this half-jawed and kind of terrifying face, twitching about with its orangey eyes. Very spooky. The twins I don't feel are really meant to strike outright fear, to be honest, as their backstory is more focused on tragedy and survival. Although I do think the Blood and Guts set is a good one to bring out that side of them that did some pretty horrible deeds in order to survive. In this case, it's more of just a gross deed, with Charlotte splitting open a pig and wearing its intestines for warmth. I think it's probably more just the visual of her wearing guts which is the disturbing part. The Trickster is another tough one, as he's just more stylish than he is outright scary with any of his outfits. If I did have to pick one, I would go with the Cut Through You performance outfit. This outfit focuses a lot on the color red, and generally has his face paint look more like blood. This one, based on the lore, says that this outfit was for the opening section of his world tour. So there's almost a creepiness to it, as this was the thing he wore to begin his string of murders. Again, none of his outfits are really creepy or scary, to be honest, but I find this is the closest one to being scary. The Nemesis I find is best with his base cosmetics also. I personally find the prestige doesn't add too much, and the original look feels more faithful to his look in Resident Evil 3. I'm also not personally too keen on the blighted skin. I do think it's cool, but I don't think it's quite as scary as just his base look. I think for a lot of the licensed characters, their original looks just generally are the best or the scariest, as that's how they were intended almost by the developers and designers. The Cenobite doesn't have many looks, but I personally think his Cenobite counterpart, the Chatterer, is the creepier out of the two. I find the more distorted face of the Chatterer quite creepy, I think, a bit like the Luxie. The main feature of the Chatterer being the mouth and chattering teeth. It's just quite disturbing, paired with the discolored skin and flayed parts of skin. Alright, well that's gonna do it. I do hope you enjoyed, and be sure to drop your own thoughts on this down below. Thanks, and goodbye.